Welcome to this brief video about a discussion activity I used in my blended English 101 class. English 101 is a first-year writing course that is capped at 24 and focuses on helping students develop critical reading and writing skills. This activity occurs fairly early in the semester and is centered around a reading entitled The Gospel of Consumption, which advocates for reducing the number of hours Americans spend at work. In designing this assignment, I wanted students to appropriate or dispute arguments made within the text as a framework for analyzing the rhetorical strategies employed by the author. So, I divided my students into two groups. The first group was asked to argue that Americans should move to a 30-hour workweek. The second group was asked to argue the opposite, that Americans shouldn't move to a 30-hour workweek. Each student had to submit one 300-word initial response and two 150-word follow-up responses. In my prompt, I made it clear that they were to use specific passages from the text in support of their arguments. Here you can see the prompt that I used. Overall, I was very pleased with how well the activity turned out. The initial responses were pretty good, but I felt that students really shined in their follow-up responses, especially in how they anticipated the objections of the opposition. In those moments, students developed effective rhetorical moves that countered those arguing for the other side. Because it was a blended course, I then printed out several of the follow-up responses to discuss in the next face-to-face session. The focus was not on who won or who lost, but on what strategies students employed and how those strategies might help us understand the ones that Kaplan, the author of the article, used. Here you can see a few student responses. Typically in discussion forums, I post at least a few replies so that students know I am paying attention and to guide them when they may be off track. However, for this debate, I did not want to sway the flow of the conversation, so I responded afterwards in a news announcement and then also in class. Here's an example of my response in the news area. I should add that in a previous semester, I had done a similar activity in the face-to-face class. So students participated in a verbal debate during class time rather than online. Having done this activity in both environments, I feel like the online discussion worked better for developing more thoughtful and engaging responses that resulted in better analytical essays. But in the face-to-face discussion, I feel like we as a class developed a better sense of community. So I think a debate of this sort could be used effectively in either format depending on what the ultimate objective would be.